Hello crafty friends, and thank you for joining me today. I'm going to show you how I made this fun summer card using dies from the latest release by Joset from Elizabeth Craft Designs. Today's card is an easel card, and if you've been crafting for a while, you probably know how to make one. But if you're new to card making, I'm going to show you exactly how it's done. There are a few easy steps in creating this card, so let's get started. Let's begin by creating this adorable sand crab. I've cut the eyes and mouth using white soft finish cardstock, backed with clear double-sided adhesive. The die creates an embossed impression, showing you exactly where to place the eyes and mouth. This way each crab comes out adorable. Don't you just love that quirky smile? Next, we're going to give our little friend some arms. Technically, I guess they're pinchers, but they need to be added. How else can a crab drive a Jeep, which is what we're going to create next? The Safari Jeep is one of my favorite dies, and since we're at the beach, I thought it would be great if the Jeep looked a little bit rusty. To accomplish that, I've edged everything with a little bit of brown ink. Since I've used metallic paper for the grille and the bumper, a permanent ink is needed. I'm using Gina K amalgam ink in chocolate truffle, just to give it that rust look. I've also used clear double-sided adhesive on the back of my grill piece, so I'm simply going to peel it off, add it to the other piece, and place it on the Jeep. I'm going to peel the liner off the back of this piece and stick it down. You will find links to my blog as well as the Elizabeth Craft Designs blog in the description box below. There you will find links to all of the products I've used today. I used paper from the Tim Holtz paper stash for the main part of the Jeep. It just looked like it was the right color for a Jeep that you would find on a sandy beach. I'm going to go ahead and finish the assembly of the Jeep now. You may notice later in the video that I've sped up some of the parts. I didn't want you to be bored silly watching me ink and glue things. The Safari Jeep set comes with everything that you need to assemble a complete Jeep, including the headlights. However, I wanted to use some rhinestones for this project to make them look more like real headlights. These rhinestones are supposed to be self-adhesive, so I put them on thinking that that would work. As you'll see when I put on my little rear view mirrors, I had a little bit of a repair job to do. That's the way it goes in crafting sometimes. A little more glue will fix most things. Now it's time to add the driver, and I wanted to get in position just right, so I hope you'll hang in there while I fiddle with it just for a minute. I'm happy with him right there, so I'm going to turn him over, put a little dab of glue to hold him in place, and we're good to go. Earlier, I cut out some pieces from the diving accessories set. And for the little goggles, they come in two pieces. I cut an extra edge, offset it in the back, and then when you look at it from the front, it looks like a little strap to hold it on the head. Of course, we needed a snorkel, then some shells from the seashell set, along with an oxygen tank and a flashlight. I wanted the flashlight and the oxygen tank to have a shiny top, so I cut a partial die cut, trimmed it off, and then glued it to the top of the tank and the flashlight. This is not necessary, of course, but I thought it would be fun. Now it's time to get that cute little Jeep all loaded up with all the equipment a crab could ever need. This process, of course, is going to take a little bit of rearranging, but once I find where I want everything, I'll simply add a dot of glue to the back and glue it down. Okay, I'm happy with that. Now we're going to set this guy aside for a minute. Now I'm going to bring in the front panel of my card and a piece of scratch paper for some inking. I've made a template using the cloud die from the Adventure Edges. I'm using a picket fence brush and some broken china distress ink. To make a sky with clouds, simply move the template down and change the angle slightly and go down as far as you need to. I've already made my sand dune using one of the Ocean Edges dies with manila paper and some vintage photo ink. Now I'm going to peel the liner off the adhesive on the back, and I'm going to line up my sand panel carefully with the edge of the panel that has the clouds. With that done, I'm going to bring my Jeep in, place it the way I like it, making sure that everything is contained. Now I'm going to simply add a few dots of glue and glue it down. Now I'm going to add a few more dots of glue here and there, making sure that the Jeep stays adhered to the front of the card, and making sure that the crab driver, not the cab driver, is adhered to the card. The card base is white soft finish cardstock measuring 12 by 5.5, then scored at 6, and then 8 3/4. For more detailed instructions, please refer to the Elizabeth Craft Designs blog linked below. Now we're going to take our panel, fold it in half at the 6-inch score mark. We're going to lay it flat and then fold it one more time at the 8 3/4 mark. Once we have our next step done, this will make the card stand up. Next, I cut a panel of white soft finish cardstock that is 4 by 5.5, and then I cut the top edge with the Ocean Edges die, and then creased it 2.5 inches from the bottom. Next, I colored all of the edges with some Broken China Distress ink, and then softly all around the edges and in the middle. Now I want to work on the inside of my card, taking my ocean panel, turning it over, and adding foam tape to the back. You can make this work without foam tape. I just like the extra dimension. On the last strip of tape, make sure that it is below the crease mark. Remove the liner, add your panel to the inside of the card, lining up the edges as carefully as possible. Once you have your panel lined up, taking the front panel, folding it over, tucking it behind the waves, you will see what makes this card work. Once this process is complete, we want to open the card back up, fold the wave totally flat so that it's on the inside of the card, and bring the front of the card over. For a fun greeting, I took one of the seashells that I created earlier and put it in my MISTI. I added one of the great sentiments from Splish Splash Sentiments, Beach Bum, put it on my MISTI, inked it up, stamped it. It looks pretty good so far, but I think a little more color would be great. I re-inked it, stamped it once more. Perfect. Now it's time to add our front panel to our card. So we're taking our card base, adding some double-sided adhesive to the front of the card below the crease line only. This tape is so easy to use because you can simply tear it where you want it. I'm putting 3 rows here so I get a good tight hold. Now I'm simply going to remove the liner and add my front panel, making sure to line up the bottom edges. Now the bottom quarter of the card is adhered to the front panel, leaving the back to fold. Once the front panel is tucked in behind the wave, we have an easel. This is a fun card for the recipient because it can stay open all the time. Let's add the finishing touches to our card and we'll be finished. We'll add the little beach bum shell along with some others. I'm going to place them loosely, and when I like it, I'm going to add some glue. With everything glued, the card is complete. It will now stand up for the recipient and look adorable, or fold flat for mailing, which is always a good thing. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye now.